Happy Christmas, everyone. Thank you all for joining me here today on Christmas Day as we take a little bit of time to wrap up my Advent calendar for this year. As you saw slightly earlier on, I was able to open up the 29-year-old Port Dundas from Master of Malt, and wow, what a beautiful dram it was. And as I promised a couple of times during the series, I thought I'd take a little bit of time to sit down and go through my top 5 drams of the entire thing. So firstly, I'd just like to thank you all so much for all your views, comments, likes. Your response has been really wonderful, and it's really spurred me on actually. I've really enjoyed it, and just thought I'd carve out a little bit of time in between a giant meal and the evening's festivities, trying to keep myself awake, sitting down with a little dram with you guys. And I've gone for a little bottle of this, the Ardbeg 8-year-old. Thought I needed something nice and peaty, nice and powerful, just to keep my palate alive and keep me going through to this evening. So happy Christmas all. Cheers, Sláinte. So I'm going to go through my top 5 drams, not in order of favouritism, although perhaps number 1 is my favourite, just in order of how they came to me. So firstly, at number 5, I'm going to start with the Glasgow 1770 Triple Distilled. That was the first dram I opened. Wow, what a corker to start off with. Floral, fruity, lovely, silky smooth from that triple distillation, and just so wonderfully balanced. Absolute cracker. And only the second thing I've ever tried from 1770, and it's somewhere I've got to try and make sure I can get to one of their open days for a visit, because I know they're not open that regularly unless you're part of a club or something like that, but I've got to try and get there because the stuff they're putting out, excellent. In at number 4 was the Hirak from the Isle of Harris. Again, distillery first for me. When my wife was putting the list together, she tried to get as many sort of firsts in there as possible, and I think every single dram in there I'd never tried before. This was just, sort of spiced desserts. We're talking apple crumbles with loads of cinnamon in, and then we're talking salty fudge and a really kind of distant coastal fire. Everything I like about an island whiskey, everything I like about that kind of more rugged Western Highland style. And stunning. As I say, distillery first, and I'm going to keep an eye on what they're putting out, although having a quick look online, some of their stuff is a little bit pricey, but I'll keep my eyes peeled to see if there's any deals to be had. At number 3, again, fairly early on, I think this was only the second week, was the Filey Bay IPA cask. First non-Scotch of the list, and right up my alley. Tropical IPA hops, malty grains, a little bit of tropical fruit, a little bit of that warming cereal cuddle. A really well put together whiskey, really good wood selection to match their spirit. And again, another distillery first, but somewhere I've got to keep my eyes on. Again, that part of that North Yorkshire, Northumbria coast is stunning. So if I speak to my wife very nicely, maybe there's a little trip on the cards up there. Number 2, skipping all the way through to the last week with the Teeling Small Batch Amber Ale cask. Another triple distilled whiskey and another beer cask whiskey. This was warming and malty from that sort of warm amber hug. And there was a real nice kind of citrus fruit freshness. Again, that triple distilled, soft, smooth balancedness just sat wonderfully on there. And another absolute cracker. Most of the Irish I've had up to this point has been your kind of fairly supermarket 40% slop. This was something completely different. And definitely something I'll be keeping an eye for. And then at number 1, how could it be anything else? It's the 29-year-old Port Dundas from Master of Malt. Anything that's that old that you're going to be drinking, it's just, there's no replacement for the age. To me, it's got that stunning old refill bourbon, dusty books, all those wonderful things that only age can create. And again, Port Dundas is probably my favourite grain whiskey. I've certainly one of the ones I've tried most and really enjoy their kind of house style, as it were. So yeah, really enjoyed that one, and what a corker to open on Christmas morning with my presents. Definitely happy with that. But yeah, overall, I mean, with the exception of 2 or 3, I think my wife did a pretty good job of putting these together. Pretty much everything was quite well aligned with what I like. And yeah, I've been interested to find out that I really like triple distilled whiskey, for one. 2 out of my top 5 being triple distilled. And I clearly really like beer cask whiskey. Again, 2 out of my top 5 being from that category. So it's interesting to learn these things about yourself, and it's only through tasting lots and lots of stuff that you can get to that. But yeah, I'd again just like to thank all you guys for the wonderful engagement and views and everything on this series. You guys have really got behind it, and that's really spurred me on to film more. Again, I'd like to raise a glass and just say Merry Christmas to you all. And yeah, before I carry on waffling any further, please join me again on the Neckpour for another episode of the Neckpour, the Dregs, or just my thoughts and opinions on whiskey. If you've enjoyed the content, please hit that like button down below. If you've got any thoughts on any of these drams or anything you'd like to see me review, drop that in the comments. And if you've really enjoyed this, hit the subscribe and the notification bell down below. But other than that, once again, Merry Christmas, cheers, Sláinte, and I'll see you again.